Namaskar. I'm deeply honored to get the Vidyasagar-Dinamoyee Puroskar from the Department of Higher Education of the West Bengal government. I would like to thank the Honorable Minister Mr. Bartu Basu for singling me out for this distinction. No award has meant more to me for the two reasons. I'm a Kolkata girl born and bred in the city, which was Ishwar Chandra Bandyopadhyay's Karma Bhumi 200 years ago. The second is that I hope to continue his legacy for expanding the rights of girls and women. Kolkata is also my Karma Bhumi for social reform through my NGO Apne, though I am a professor at New York University. When Ishwar Chandra Bandyopadhyay initiated his campaign for widow remarriage and female literacy, girls as young as 6 were married to older men, widowed by the time they were in their teens, left without income or property, made to shave their heads and live in the shadows in white saris, unable to read or write or to improve their lot. Many of them ended up in the brothels of Kolkata. In Banaras, 90% of prostituted women in Kolkata in the 1850s were widows, according to the Amrit Bazar Patrika. This was the society that Vidyasagar was born into, and this was the society he reformed. In 1849, he helped set up the first modern school for girls in India, Calcutta Female School, now known as Bethune College, along with Drinkwater Bethune. His patron was a woman, a Shudra, and someone who lacked literacy, Rani Rashmoni or Rashmoni Das. His patron and he together brought about such sweeping changes that they impact on our lives till today. Between 1857 and 1858, when the Sepoy Mutiny, or India's first battle of independence against the British, was raging in the country, they fought a different kind of battle. They opened 35 girls' schools all over Bengal. Simultaneously, he took on the cause of widow remarriage. In January and October 1855, he wrote his first famous treatise on the marriage of Hindu widows, drawing upon the sutras, the literary compositions, and the shastras, the scriptures, to establish his logical argument that there was no prohibition on remarriage of widows in our shastras. Thousands of copies sold, leading to reprint after reprint. Rani Rashmoni moved the actual legislation for the Hindu Widows Remarriage Act, which was finally passed in 1856. This had far reaching implications for girls and women all over India. In 1864, Jyotiba Phule succeeded in persuading a Saraswat Brahmin widow to remarry. In 1866, Vishnu Shastri Pandit translated Vidyasagar's book on a widow remarriage into Marathi. After widow remarriage, it was then the turn of polygamy. There were men who kept marrying girls younger and younger than them, and just for dowry sometimes or for sexual pleasure. One Kulin Brahman had married 146 times, as is recorded in the archives of the 1850s. In 1871 and 1873, Vidyasagar wrote two brilliant critiques on polygamy, arguing that it was not sanctioned by the sacred texts. He also campaigned to postpone the age of marriage. Outlawing polygamy among Hindus, however, had to wait till 1955, 8 years after independence, because he faced fierce resistance. Awards were announced against him. He was criticized. He was also threatened with death. The Child Marriage Restraint Act was passed in 1929. It was known as the Sharda Act. Later, the age of marriage was fixed at 14 for girls and 18 for boys, and today, of course, is 18. He also heaped so many ideas and logic at the conservative men of the prevailing society at that time who tried to stop him, that of course he had to face criticism, insults, ridiculed by eminent scholars of the day, and even threatened with death, as I said earlier. But he was undeterred. His works have had a direct impact on the life of every modern Indian woman. He changed the norm. Any of us could have become child brides if this norm had not changed. We might have never been to school, let alone college, or become professors, social reformers, or chief ministers like our very own Mamta Banerjee. The fierce and feisty Chief Minister of Bengal, is a product of this legacy of Bengal which challenges social hierarchy. His work inspires us to continue. My own work to educate the children of prostituted women and free them from the cycle of intergenerational prostitution would not have been possible without his legacy. My NGO, Apne has educated thousands of children from the red light areas of Sonagarchi, Munshiganj, and Wadganj in Khadirpur and Kalighat. We have managed to break their cycle of intergenerational prostitution. They have managed to find jobs. They have pulled out their mothers from the red light areas. But my job is still unfinished as long as the red light areas that were established for British soldiers and clerks under British colonialism continue to exist in my city. As I hold mobile classes for children under the Vidyasagar Setu bridge across very close to Munshiganj and Watganj red light areas, I know that he would have been smiling down. I know he would have been proud that West Bengal has a female chief minister, fierce and feisty, as I said earlier. He would have been proud that she was trying to do the most for the person I call the girl who needs an education, the girl who needs to get out of the cycle of poverty, degradation, exploitation. The tradition of dismantling social hierarchy has been a long one in Bengal. It found its perfect articulation in Vidyasagar with his keenly analytical mind. It is no coincidence that a regressive part of society should train their ire on his statue. His campaigns have destroyed the worst form of hierarchy at home and changed family life for the better and laid the foundation of a more humane and just society. If we can continue to walk down the road he made as fearlessly as he did, our work will be equally alive 200 years from now. If Vidyasagar had not been, I would not be. I hope some young woman can say the same about me 200 years from now. I accept this honor on behalf of all the women and girls from the red light areas that I serve. Thank you. Namaskar.